Hello, and thank you for joining me on today's Sunday special. Not live like it usually is, but nevertheless, didn't want you to miss out. And we are going to be making in real time because I will be making this at one of John Lockwood's workshops or something similar. But I thought you might like to join in a way as well. So we're going to be using the John Next Door Christmas collection called Christmas Time, which is a really versatile dye, and it's along the lines of the Desford and Phosphid dyes that were back a few months ago. We're also going to be using the Snowflower as well. So this one has got loads of dyes to it. It's got 13 dyes in the whole set, and I'm not going to be using all of them in this particular set, just a few of them, half of them I should say, but you'll be able to see loads of different ideas later on with some of the other elements used as well. So let's get on. So first of all, I'm going to take a piece of white card, and I'm working on a 7-inch blank card. So that's my blank card at 7 inches. And I'm going to take, first of all, the outer die. So the outer die does have a cutting edge all the way around. It's not one of those ones that you need to cut to it. So it does have an outer edge. And then you have a choice of either a sort of honeycomb sort of twisted thingy or more of a holly type affair. And I'm going to use the holly one to start off with. So you can do it just one-sided, you can make your card fold over by that. Let's bring this back in. I'll just show you what I mean by that. If you just look at the image on there, you'll be able to see the folded over card, and obviously you'd only need to do the pattern on one side then. But that's not what we're going to do today. We're going to do a flat card. So in order to do that, let's just take these pieces out first of all. I shall pop that onto my card base, and then I shall choose whichever one, and I'm going to go for the holly. And then I will pop that, because I can cut them both at the same time, I'll pop that into position just there. So I'm going to use some of my removable tape, and I'm just going to pop that into position and then run that through my machine like that. However, that's what you thought I'd be doing. I have actually done that part already, so I'm just going to take that off there so that you can not listen to me going on with that quite all the time. So this is what I'd be coming up with to start off with. So that's cut out one side only, and you can also see that it has cut out that piece because that's where you would fold your card over if you wanted to do that. But we also want to go on this side as well. So I need to pop my die of my holly leaves back into place, just trying to match it up evenly. Just pop that, actually I think we'll stick that in that bit there, like that. Pop that through my machine again, and I'm going to go that way through the machine so that I get more cutting area, and this time I really am going to do it and just pop that through my machine. Now normally you would have been talking to yourselves, wouldn't you, on our usual setups, but unfortunately not today. So you really would have had to talk to yourself like I have to. So you can see it cuts out beautifully, just a few extra bits there, just to poke out those little bits there as well. And that works really well. So it's a beautiful frame. Now I've taken some of the blue silver, if you could call it that, from the monochrome packet, and that is going to go directly onto my card there. And I'm going to be very extravagant, and I'm going to use one of my sheets of my sticky specs. It's purely for quickness. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that you do such a thing because it is rather extravagant to get such a big space. But again, I can, and for a change, it's not Sunday, it's just because I can. but that is a bit extravagant really. But it just makes sure that there's glue on all the pieces. So I'm just going to stick that directly down. I'm just going to try and hover over before I stick it down to make sure that I've got that as even as I possibly can. And just stick that all into place. Now with the dies as well, there comes some middle sections, and from the same coloured silver I have cut myself with one of the first circles, which is a stitched edge. Hopefully you can see that pretty stitched edge. I've just cut myself a centre piece there. So I'm going to just, oh, in true form, not started the glue off. Well, you'd miss me if I wasn't doing it like that, wouldn't you? You really would miss me then. Just centralising that piece there. And you can see how quick this is to make the card. Just check we've got it round the right way. That is going to go onto my card front there. Now you could, if you wish, pop on some foam on the back to lift it all up. You can do lots of layers really. I'm just going to stick this straight down because we're going to put some flowers on. So you've got the dimension from the flowers coming up in a minute. So it's not vital that you have got the dimension from the main background. So already that is looking very, very pretty. And you could put these panels around the other way, so it could have gone that way or that way. There's all sorts of different ways that you could do this. So that's our card base already done. And now I'm just going to put some foliage and a sentiment on. So I will pop that to one side just for the minute. And I'm going to bring in my snowflower stamps. So I've already popped them into position. So it's the stamp set that comes and matches with the snowflowers themselves. I'm just going to make sure that I go over my piece of card, which is ordinary card, nothing special, with my anti-static bag first, and then I'm going to apply the embossing pad. You can use anything. You can use your Eyes Ink one, your Perfect Medium. I've got the Wow one, which really is drying out, but you can use anything. So I'm just picking and pressing that, making sure that I've got all the flowers pressed in. And I can only really tell that if I lift that up to the light. I can just about see, I shouldn't think you can, but I can just about see that that has indeed got the ink on there. Take a piece of paper and sprinkle over with some silver embossing powder, being that silver's the order of the day here. You can see then that it's picked up all the pieces nicely. Just tap off, I should say, any excess, and just pop that back into my pot there. So that was the one sheet of stamps which will fit in with the snowflowers to fit those in. And I'm going to now heat emboss this. So heat set this, I should say. Just heat up my gun here. As we usually say, it's so much better to get the heat gun set up and getting hot. Give that a go. And you can see that it quickly will turn. And just set all of the powder. And do make sure that you try to do the little triangles in the corner, because they really are your way of matching up everything very easily, that if you've got them in place, you can't go wrong. Put extra there. Beautiful. So I'm just going to let that cool down for a little bit, just a second. That's it. And then I'm going to take my Snowflower embossing plate, cutting plate, and just need to make sure that I've got that in the right way. And you can see straight away that I haven't got it round the right way, because although I've got these two lugs matched up, you can see that the flowers don't match at all. So I'm going to turn that round, then match it up again, and then voila, they will all match there. So I'm just going to put some tape down for that. Tape that into place. Whoops. And run that through so that I cut my snowflowers out then. Oops. Okay, so my snowflowers are all done. And just press them out, and it will also press out the lovely centre pieces. Love those. That will finish these snowflowers off and really make them rather posh. Let's make sure I've got all the pieces. No, there's a couple of little ones that haven't come through. There, that's all done. Lovely. Okay, so we've got all our snowflowers together, and they come into the pairs. So there's two there, two of that size, two of that size, two of that size, and two of that size. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers all together. That centre for the biggest ones, and then that for the smallest, and then one of those for that. And we might put those on as extras for there in a second. So I'm just going to mould them a little bit and just flip them over onto their fronts, and then I'm just going to push in with a ball tool just gently from the back of it, and then turn that around and then press firmly, oops, into that, into making that a flower. I will use my glue glaze just to stick those together, because they've got a nice quick grab time for the glue glaze. So I'm making sure, if I can, that the petals are sort of off centre, and just pressing that down and holding that down for that one. And then this one. You can mould your snowflowers in any way you like, making more of it than you wish or whatever, but they just make a really simple, very pretty flower. And pop in a bit of the silver embossing powder really finishes them off nicely, I think. So I'm just doing that to all of these because I want to use all of these. And I've already cut out some of the pine branch die sets. I've gone for 2 of them so that I've got plenty of foliage. So we've got that in just a second. I'm just pushing down, as you can see. I'm not moulding them really. I'm just pushing them from behind so that it just gives a bit more of a nicer look rather than just a flat. And then final little ones here. I always find it so incredible with these flowers that you don't have to do very much to them and they suddenly just come alive. I think are fantastic. Oops. Just hold that one there. Oh, I'd lost a petal there, not to worry. So, and then I'm just going to mould these by just pressing down a little bit into these. So they're just cupped a little bit. and the centre size ones and the little one. So just press into that as well. Okay, so they're all ready to be assembled onto the card. Now, pop them to one side and bring our card back into play. So again, always just check I've got it the right way round. So I've got lots of foliage here now, and as I said, it's from the pine branch set. So there's quite a mixture of pine branches and little mistletoe pieces. And because I'm making a biggish statement here, I'm just going to pop them in place and see where we're going to go with them. So bearing in mind we're going to cover up a lot of that, so I'm not going to worry myself too much about it. But we've got, yeah, I think we'll go with like that, and then we'll be putting in our flowers there, and then we're going to be doing a sentiment. So again, that's nearly there, but I'm just going to push that over just to do the sentiment. So with a scrap of the card, of both the white card, which we did the front, and with the blue silver that's at the back, I've trimmed a piece. It doesn't matter how long, because I'm going to trim that down again, but I've done this one to 3.5 centimetres wide and this one to 4 centimetres wide, and they're going to go one on top of another. But before they do, I'm going to take one of the Christmas sentiments, and if you recall, we suggested to make sure that you've got them the right way up, that you put an arrow, and also what it actually says on the other side so that you can see. And I will pop that into position, and I'm going to sort of give it there, because I'm going to give a bit of, cut a little bit of tail banners on the end, fishtails or whatever one might call it. So I'm just going to stick that into place and run it through my machine. And again, I'm going to run it through the machine that way so that I've got a lot of cutting area there. Obviously, if you have got banner dies in your own collection, you may find that that's something that you would like to use rather than just cutting it and doing it yourself. But it's just to show that you can, really. So there we are. I've got the word magical there. And that is going to go onto my background there. But again, before I do that, I want to cut out some of the little fishtails from it. So I'm going to take the one first. I'm going to cut up to more or less the centre, and then I'm just going to cut from the corners into that centre, and then the other way round from that corner into the centre like that. And then I'm going to pop that on top, just holding it there, and I shall then cut up to there. Now I know now that if I want to cut up to there, I don't want to cut it all the way up to that point, because I need a bit of a border with that as well. So we'll see how we go. Might need a bit more trimming, so I'm just going to trim that one in the same way from the corner to the centre, like so. And then, whoops, when we put that on there and stick that down, that's all a proper little fishtail. But again, as I said, if you have got some dies, of which old Sue Wilson dies had some beautiful ones like that as well some time ago, so you may want to go with something like that, but that's just how you can do it without having to have a die. Now I'm going to stick this down on top of there, but I'm not actually going to cut the end just at the minute, because I just want to see where it's going to go first. So we've finished off this end, but I haven't finished off this end at the moment, because that's going to be, I'm going to trim that for when I decide quite where it's going to go. So let's, without further ado, put some of this beautiful foliage in place. and stick some glue down. So I'm going to, again, if you recall that I usually only stick glue down to the bottom pieces because I don't want that, I want a bit of movement, so I don't want it absolutely flat on there. I prefer it not to be absolutely flat. And this one coming along, I'm always finding little bits that need to come out. So just a little bit of glue, and if you're using a strong glue, you won't need to worry about whether it's going to stick or not. So usually a tiny bit is absolutely fine. And I think we will put that one there as well. I'm just going to take that branch off because I'm not sure that we're going to need all of that, so just going to pop that into there. Okay, so let's bring our flowers over, and I'm going to go back with my glue glaze to put some of these centre pieces into the big flowers because I just love them. So these are going to go into the centre like that. Just get my ball tool and just hold that into place. Oops, like so. And then this one, like that. I think I've got some glue on there that it makes it want to keep sticking to it, so we don't want to do that. And then my medium-sized ones, where are we? That one and that one. And then I am going to put one on my little one because although I've lost one of my leaves, we're going to make it hidden anyway. It still wants to be attached, bless it. But it's not going to be, I'm afraid, but we could still pop that one in the centre so that we can hide it on the corner. So I'm just going to put my glue gun on so that we can just finish this off. And whilst that's heating up, if you can imagine, I'm going to be putting my sentiment amongst all this lot. So I'm going to need it to hide in a second. So I'm just going to chop off the end there. That's going to come in across there. I think I'm going to put a bit of foam on that. Let's put a quick bit of foam on the back to hold that in place. And I'm just lining it up so that it is along that central line as well. Sticky bits of glue, which we don't want, and they're in the wrong place, so I'll just use my adhesive remover to get rid of them. Okay, so just going to now start placing these flowers, and I'm going to use my hot glue gun to do it because I feel that it will be a stronger and quicker hold as I want to start manoeuvring the flowers in a minute. So one down there, and a little one I'm going to hide in that corner there so we can't see the bit that I broke off. None the wiser, eh? None the wiser. No one would know apart from you, and I know that you're not going to tell anyone. We'll just get these strings of glue off. Now, I've also going to use my glue glaze with the centre of these again, with some little gems. They are adhesive gems. They don't really need extra bits of glue, but I think that might not be such a bad idea. So I'm just going to pop a little gem into the centre of these, just to finish the card off. Okay, and then as that's now more or less dry, I can then just sort of pull up these snowflowers a little bit, give them a little bit more of an oomph. And again, that's the beauty really of having the glue gun there. You could obviously do that with the others, but you'd need to give it a little bit longer to dry. And I've also got some other little bits left over from my pine trees. So I'm just going to slot, using a different glue again, golly, gone through all the glues I've got, I think, just to fill in a couple of little spaces. The die plate for the pine branches cuts all of these pieces out in one go. So it's not as if you've got to keep running it through and everything. It literally has all of these little elements in, and that's why I think it's such a handy one. And we're putting them in after I've done it so that you can just see where you might need an extra one to go in. And I think I might be doing overkill if I put that there. No, I'll put it there. See, I get carried away, even though you're not all online today to keep me on the straight and narrow. I can get carried away all on my own. I think I'll stop at that. So, there you go. Today's card is using the John Next Door Christmas Time stamp, die. Only part of it because we've only used 3 or 4 of the dies, and there are 13 dies that come with this one altogether. I've also used the snowflower in this corner. I've used the pine branch for all of the foliage, both the pine branches and these little berry pieces. And I've used wording magical from the Christmas sentiments, Christmas stencil sentiments, all by John Next Door, and all over on the website today. On the Facebook Live section, they will be on maximumcrafts.com. I will be back on Wednesday, the 29th, I think, without looking. Wednesday the 29th, or something like that, anyway. Or 30th even. Yeah, 30th. Wednesday the 30th of September, I shall be back. I will miss you, so I do hope that some of you will leave some comments at the bottom of our YouTube today. And I look forward to seeing you and catching up. And hopefully, if you would like to have any of the elements, I'd love to see what you make with it as well. Thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.